Perfect. Okay. So we see the difference. 25 times the value and price point just based on the branding and clarity. Of course, it's not just the colors and the fonts that made a difference. It was the internal clarity on the value that I'm providing. I had that. And with that clarity came the confidence to even sell something at that price. Okay, we've already looked at this one. Okay, there we go. A year after that, okay, 2-year time, $96,000 clients. Professional branding, laser clear on the result that I'm offering. One call close. Branding really matters. Yeah. So in that time frame, I want to inspire you a bit with this, okay? In the time frame, I didn't post my Instagram feed for nearly 7 months while I was having health challenges, but I still had a strong brand. I worked an average of 15 hours a week. I took 4 luxury vacations and quite a few regular trips as well in that time. I had time to volunteer and speak to high school and college students around the world. I did some partnerships with some random countries in Africa and Asia, actually, which is really cool. I got those opportunities to speak because I was posting on social media. I was able to stay balanced and had time to invest into my close relationships, family and fitness, and I was able to stay grounded and service-minded and became the most generous version of me there. Okay. All right. This is your sign. If you needed it, this is your permission slip. Take it. This process doesn't have to feel hard or lonely or stressful, and it doesn't have to take years to build a personal brand. Kind of like what Julia was just sharing. You need a minimum viable product. You just need to get started. You need to get started and commit to the process, not the outcome. The outcome will come. It's your time to go from being an unknown bystander to a magnetic authority online with high-value connections reaching out to you. All right, time for that main character energy to come out. Let's see. Yeah, you're gonna appreciate this picture. This is me starting my business. This is hilarious, actually. You can tell I'm in Thailand because you can see the mango bit there. This is me doing 96 hours on Zoom that week in a small tropical island called Pengan. And I have a podcast mic, the light, like, whatever you're saying, I can't do it yet. Whatever reason or excuse you have, I don't have a perfect camera yet. I don't have the podcast mic yet, or this one. Guys, if I can build a brand with that, literally, I didn't wear shoes for a year. I was doing Instagram lives in tie-dye and still signing clients, which of course, I didn't brush my hair. Like, it was bad, but I took messy action and I had confidence and I was committed to the process. So whatever you're thinking, I need this or that, or I need a ton of money to hire someone first, even if you bootstrap it, start today. You can start small, but start. That's the most important part. I didn't mean to make that rhyme. Yep. It also unlocks the freedom to be able to travel, right? All right. We're going to skip this. Okay. So if you feel like you're the audience or sidelines the premiere, and this is a question it's really interesting in branding. In your life, just take a self-evaluation. If your life is a movie, what character are you? Are you the main character? Are you the support role? Are you in the audience? Are you a side story? Where do you feel like you naturally fall in the world? Wherever you naturally feel like you fall is how you're going to show up online. So we need to re-engineer the mindset here. We need to get you into main character energy, because when you're the main character of your story, it will naturally present online as well. And if you're not, it's a conversation we can have also when we're not recording. Yeah? Because we are all the main characters of our story, even if we have multiple roles in our lives. And so there's kind of 2 ways to build a brand. There's the underpaid support role way, which is like paying a fortune running ads with no strategy. Hiring an overpriced but underperforming VAs. It's like really fast way to crash a brand. Sacrificing sleep or any chance of a social life. But if you haven't created the online authentic authority, attracting dream clients will be that, a dream, right? We need to make the dream realized. To stand out and gain endless organic traffic, you have to have the right systems in place. Let's see what I have here. I'm going to share the process. These are the outcomes that I was teaching. But step by step, I want to go with you. If you're going to do this on your own, what you need to think through in order to have that. So the first thing would be complete clarity for you and your business. You need to have reference points for your life and your brand, because your brand is going to be an extension of you. You're not the same person you're going to be 5 years from now, for sure. Why do I know that? You're an entrepreneur. Your business is growing, which means by default you have to be growing or your business will slow down. So you need to be clear on what your life vision is. Like laser clear, like so crystal clear on what your vision is. Because if your vision is to live this laptop lifestyle at beautiful villas in Bali, and you try to build a brand being in a big city with a blazer, right? Those two things are going to conflict at some point because it's not authentic to you. It's not going to feel right. It's going to be, you're going to have to plan flights to get images based on that. It's just not going to be you. Your personal brand is going to evolve with you, of course, but you want to be clear on what direction am I going here? And same thing for the business. You're going to have to make peace with your past and own your future. That's important. You're not your past. I know that because if you didn't have your past, you'd still be existing as a human. So you're not your past, and you need to own your future. Not saying I'm going to go with the flow or see what happens. You need to decide, I know the vision I have, and I know I'm going to get there. I know the person I'm going to become, and I'm going to take action to become that version. We need to evict any inner critic you have in your mind. Any of those, like a former coach of mine, she used to call it the itty bitty shitty committee in her mind. And I love that because it was so relatable at the time. Like, oh, but I'm not this, the comparison-itis, I'm not blank enough, good enough, pretty enough, fit enough, blah, 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 smart enough, right? Any of those thoughts, we need to take them out. Letting go of distraction, imposter syndrome, the idea of shyness. We need to rewire the brain for the next level. You need to have a well-crafted mission and values. Knowing what your values are is really important. And we need to make sure the story that you believe about yourself and who you are and how you got to where you are is the main character version of the story. Right? Not the support role, not the victim, not the extra. Like, you are cast as the main character. And we need to shift into that energy first. And the next step of that is showing up online with focus and without overwhelm. What does that look like? We need to organize your mind, girls. We need to organize it and declutter, right? You don't want organized chaos. That's also not helpful. You need to declutter the mind first, then organize your mind. And then you'll be able to think from a place of clarity. With clarity comes the creativity. We need to 10x your energy. I always do that, like biohacking tactics for this, super important. Comes with optimizing sleep. I take a holistic approach to everything. Identify exactly who you need on your team next and where to hire them. Julia's great for this. Right? And within branding, knowing, okay, do I need a personal brand architect, like a strategist first? Or do you need a graphic designer first? Do I need an editor first? Or do I need the branding first? Being able to decide what comes first. Okay. Then we design and build your brand off of a foundation of clarity. We need the messaging and the brand story that's going to convert, that makes sense and connects with the audience that you have. From there, you can organize a personal brand photo shoot. I see a lot of people trying to DIY their branding, and I just want to emphasize on the photo shoot too. A personal brand photographer is a special type of photographer. This is not a portrait photographer. This is not a headshot photographer. This is not a lifestyle photographer. A personal brand photographer is its own type. They have already done research, ideally, and have knowledge of camera angles, for example. When I had my branding agency, inside that offer was included a personal brand photo shoot. And I needed to be on top of it. Because some photographers, for example, they like to take a straight angle or an up angle. You never want those angles online. Why? Because subconsciously, if you have a down angle, they're looking down at you, which will decrease your authority online. So there's a lot of things you shouldn't need to know that about photography. You're in your zone of genius, you're building companies. You shouldn't need to do the research for that. So I want to emphasize hiring the right people. Like having a personal brand photographer and doing that once every 6 to 12 months is incredibly impactful. because they know certain angles and colors and lighting that will build trust and authority, especially based on the kind of audience and price points you might have. Okay. And yeah, they'll organize your shot list and your outfits done right too. You should not, for any reason, have to do that on your own. Actually, side note, when we go to Chiang Mai, my favorite personal brand photographer is out there. She travels between Chiang Mai and Bangkok. So if you want recommendations, I got you. Yeah, you want to master the art of storytelling, doing that by putting the reps in, and position as an expert online. Then you can launch your brand. All right, we got the foundation set. You have the social media profiles optimized using the same frameworks or templates. So you're the same person on LinkedIn as you are everywhere else, right? Then you can focus on content. If you do content first and your profiles aren't optimized, you're getting people's attention and then directing them nowhere. So you want to know where they're directing them first. Then you can reverse engineer an attention funnel. Where am I getting this traffic from? How are people going to find my profile? And then you can do a content strategy that converts from there. You can do a website after this. You can build a 6-figure business without having a website, and we'll start there. This is incredibly important for branding and having that included, but it's not the most necessary thing. I recommend choosing an SEO-friendly hosting platform and pick the perfect domain. I can show you don't have to buy a super expensive website. You can buy templates for websites that are very professional online. If you want to do that, you can go to somewhere like creativemarket.com. There's some beautiful websites, and they have niche-specific ones you can just download. Yeah, and you want to do what's called traffic mapping. That's what I taught in my last workshop. But basically, traffic mapping is you want to decide when someone lands on my profile, that's the equivalent of them walking into your storefront if you have a brick and mortar business. They want to be greeted. If you go into a store and no one says hi to you, you're kind of like, what's up with this, right? If you want a luxury brand, then you want to be welcoming people in. So on that profile, it might look like a start here, so people know where to start. It might look like you messaging your new followers, something along those lines. You want to know when someone lands on your content, do they know what the next step is? Is it to click a link in your bio? Is it to DM you a keyword? And what are they doing with that information? What's in it for them to connect with you and give them your information? And what's the next steps? Like, are you collecting emails? If you are, what are you doing with them? And how is that going to lead to your desired outcome? So decide on that in advance too. And then you can start accelerating the authority that you have. This is leveraging your brand as a speaker, whether that's on podcasts, online seminars, workshops like this in person, speaking on stages, different things like that. It looks like definitely becoming a best-selling author, for example. Guesting, PR. Yeah, there we go. But that's kind of the roadmap on what it would look like to build your own personal brand. I know it's a lot of information, but my question is, do you have any questions on some of these specific things that I can help you with?
So how do you differentiate between your personal versus professional brand?
Personal brand is professional. So I would call those two the same thing. The way conversion happens now is different. People aren't so interested in companies. And you can see this by buyer behavior online. If you look at Elon Musk's following versus any of his companies, he has a way bigger following. Why? Because people connect with people online. So we're talking about branding when it comes to social media. Your personal brand is your professional brand because people prefer to connect with people and not companies. So think of it that way. And also, people are more likely to trust you the more they know about you. So when it comes to leadership, especially feminine leadership, that means showing up with vulnerability and having those stories. Doesn't mean you have to divulge all personal stories or trauma dump or any of that. That's different. But your personal brand, it's you, it's authentic you. And I do see the future of business and online conversions going more in the direction of having those real connections versus just having this very corporate front of who you are. So think of it as both. Yeah.
Even if you have different careers.
Absolutely. So separating each business will have its own.
Versus being a coder and a writer of business.
Yeah. Well, the thing is it's also instead of so I think the personal brand it's building the know, like, and trust factor, and it's about character traits, right? So it's is this person responsible? Does she do what she says she's going to do? And if you have those character traits that make you trustworthy, then whatever business you start, you trust the individual. When it comes to how you can help someone, if you change an industry, your audience changes and shifts because if I was a coder, then I would be able to help software companies. And so I think that is kind of like how you differentiate. It's who you serve, but at your core, who you are as a person is what makes you trustworthy and what allows you to shift to the next thing. Because we're like, oh, Tiffany's super organized. She's
Correct.
very on top of it. She like